Elisabeth Braw. She is a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. Thank you so much for joining us here on the NewsHour. Now, on one hand, we have Russia deploying troops to Belarus for joint military operations. And on the other hand, we have Canada and the UK giving support to Ukraine, whether it be training its soldiers or providing it with weapons. And our team, as we've been seeing, has been speaking to Ukrainian soldiers, and they, as we've been reporting, say war has already begun for them. Are we getting closer to a full-blown out invasion here?
It's certainly an extremely tense moment, and so what we've seen in the past couple of days is that the UK has said it will send defensive weapons to Ukraine, along with trainers to train the Ukrainians in the initial stage to show them how these weapons work, and a similar move from the Canadians. Now, it's worth remembering that these are purely defensive moves to help the Ukrainians keep their country safe. And so in a sense, you could say that might help reduce the risk of war, because Russia is seeing that Ukraine will be better able to defend itself. Nevertheless, Russia is undoubtedly stronger than Ukraine, even the Ukraine today compared to 8 years ago. And that's what I think makes it so risky, because Russia might decide that now is the moment before the Ukrainians get even better, before they get even more support.
Right, and Russia's red line, as Putin has been saying over and over again, is NATO's further expanding into Eastern Europe, and they don't want Ukraine to be part of this alliance. What would change for Russia if NATO does indeed continue to expand in this region?
Well, first of all, I don't think NATO will continue to expand at the moment. But the point is that NATO reserves the right for itself, as it has since it was founded after World War II, to invite or to accept applications from any country that wishes to become a member. So what NATO is balking at is Russia saying, well, you can't invite such and such country, you can't allow such and such country to become a member. NATO has always had an open door policy. And what's a little bit confusing about, or in fact, extremely confusing about the Russian stance, is that this is an issue that didn't come up when the Russians and NATO were negotiating the so-called NATO-Russia Founding Act in the 90s. That would have been the time for Russia to say, well, this is a step too far. We won't allow you to accept new members from our neighborhood. Russia said no such thing, and the treaty was signed, and there it is. So to now say you are expanding on our turf, it's a little bit contradictory, extremely contradictory.
Right, and Putin hasn't hesitated in voicing his willingness to take action militarily. What do you think his next move is going to be, especially following the support that we're seeing Ukraine get from Canada and the UK?
I think he will continue rattling the cage, as it were, building up along Ukraine's border, building up Russian forces along Ukraine's border and keep them there. But we have to remember that an invasion, a war, an invasion, and potential occupation, these are extremely expensive undertakings. And part of the reason, for example, that the Soviet Union in the end collapsed under its financial burden was they had so many troops in so many countries, including 500,000 soldiers in East Germany. So to volunteer your forces at great expense just for the benefit of having another country's territory, it's very expensive. And I don't know whether, in fact, I don't think the Russian economy can support such an undertaking at the moment.
All right, Senior Fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, Elisabeth Braw, thank you so much for joining us here on the NewsHour and sharing that analysis with us.